When cities talk about progress, the language is almost always the same: revitalization, renewal, growth. But for many communities, those words arrive with a different reality: rising rents, evictions, the slow disappearance of familiar streets, faces, and histories. This is the story of how communities facing displacement chose not to disappear quietly. Urban displacement often begins long before a family is forced to leave. It starts with new development, with speculation, with policies that favor profit over people. As neighborhoods become more desirable, property values rise. Landlord increase rents. Longtime residents, often working class, immigrant, or marginalized communities, are pushed out of the places they helped build. This process is commonly called gentrification, and across the world, it has reshaped cities block by block. But in some places, residents organized, and resistance changed the outcome. In East Harlem, New York, residents watched their neighborhood transform rapidly. Luxury developments replaced affordable housing. Longtime tenants faced aggressive landlords and rising costs. In response, community members formed Movement for Justice in El Barrio. Rather than relying on outside institutions, they organized from within. They held marches, occupied buildings, publicly confronted landlords and city officials. Their goal was not simply to stop development, but to demand dignity, housing rights, and community control. By making displacement visible and political, they shifted the conversation. Gentrification was no longer just a market trend, it was a human issue. In Manhattan's Chinatown, resistance took a different form. As development pressure increased, artists and organizers created the Chinatown Art Brigade, a collective using art as a tool for political education and protest. They projected messages onto buildings, created performances in public spaces, turned streets into canvases for memory and resistance. Their work reminded residents and the city that Chinatown was not just real estate, it was history, culture, belonging. By transforming art into activism, they preserved stories that development threatened to erase. Some communities went further, changing not just policy, but ownership itself. Community land trusts removed land from the speculative market, and a nonprofit or collective would in turn own the land permanently, allowing residents to own or rent the homes on it. This kept housing affordable across generations. Instead of asking permission to stay, communities created systems that made displacement structurally harder. Ownership became protection. In San Juan, Puerto Rico, residents of the Caño Martin Peña neighborhood faced flooding, environmental neglect, and intense development pressure. Rather than being displaced, residents organized one of the most successful community land trusts in the world. They cleaned the canal themselves, developed a collective land ownership model, and negotiated directly with the government to secure legal protection. Their work earned international recognition and, more importantly, allowed families to remain in their homes. It proved that development does not have to mean removal. Across these stories, resistance did not look the same. Sometimes it was protest, sometimes art, sometimes legal restructuring. What they shared was collective action. Urban displacement thrives in silence and fragmentation. Resistance begins when people organize, when communities insist on being part of the future, not erased from it. Cities will continue to change. Growth will continue to be uneven, but these stories remind us of something often overlooked. Displacement is not inevitable, And when communities stand together, the story beneath the surface can change. This is Understory, giving you something to think about.